Most people overcomplicate insurance when it comes on to car rentals, and what that does is it just slows scaling. Insurance for OPC works because you don't own any of the risk. All you're basically doing is structuring it. So the reason why I can talk about this is because my name is Delano Green. What I've done is I have over 60 plus cars on Turo that right now I'm managing for other people, and the concept, we basically call it OPC, meaning we're managing other people's cars. I only own about 12 of these vehicles that I basically have right now, and all the other vehicles in our 60 car fleet is owned by other people. So today I want to talk to you about insurance, of how you structure the insurance and how it works, and basically how I'm able to manage so many cars and not own any of the risk, not have to deal with any of the car payments, and not basically have to purchase any vehicles anymore. So I used to purchase cars all the time, and now we basically stopped purchasing cars, and now I only get cars from other people, and I've used that system and model to basically scale to over a 60 car fleet, right? So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about here, I have a bunch of notes on my phone. So first is you just want to basically make sure when you're doing OPC, a lot of people always ask me, what about the insurance? How does it work? Like, how do you structure the insurance? What happens if my car gets into an accident? Well, when you're doing OPC, meaning when you're doing car rentals, especially with Turo, and you're renting another person's car and you're basically doing that whole structure for them, you just want to make sure that they have the base insurance, which is you want to get like limited liability, or you could just get full comprehensive insurance. And what that does is that legally allows that person to be on the road, right? So once you can do that part and you're able to be on the road legally with insurance, you literally can just use the Turo insurance afterwards to cover any collisions, damages, or anything else caused by the guest. Person always asks me what happens outside of the trip when you're driving the car and not like the renter. So obviously, oftentimes you're going to be driving the car because you're going to have to be moving it to get it washed. You're going to have to be driving it back and forth from the airport, from other places. So how you structure this is with your base insurance that you, the owner, would have. So like say for instance, the owner, you would basically advise them to have the base insurance. You would list yourself as just like a person, which means somebody who's an authorized person to drive your vehicle. And you can do this all the time because insurance allows you to list people as authorized users of the vehicle itself. And so that way, if you should get into an accident outside of the Turo trip or outside of the customer, you literally could just be listed as an authorized user of the vehicle, and that you will automatically be covered by the insurance. So you don't have to worry about that. And that's probably one of the biggest concerns that a lot of people have when it comes on to doing this, because they always say to themselves, what if the guest didn't destroy the car? What if it's the manager is the one who destroyed the car? Or what if the manager is the one who got into an accident or something like that? Then once you have that person listed as an authorized user, that person will be covered, and you will be covered for anything else that actually happens. That's the magic with this stuff. So a lot of times you could skip the whole process of having like commercial insurance. A lot of people think that they need commercial insurance. You really don't need any commercial insurance. What you actually need is just the base insurance, and you're basically just utilizing Turo's insurance. So how Turo's insurance work is they usually keep the different plans. Like they would have like a 60-40 plan. They would have like a 70-30, 80 like 20 plan, or like a 90-10 plan. They did a lot of changes when it comes on to doing their insurance plans for their deductibles and stuff, because what I've noticed is the deductibles for Turo, they got much higher. Like what I've seen so far is they've got extremely higher, and if you do not know how to structure this stuff, you might be operating at like very thin margins. So what you want to do is once you scale above 10 to 20 cars, you basically want to like just get the highest deductible. That's what I basically done. I got the highest deductible with the highest plan, which is like the 90-10 plan, because what happens is if you're renting like higher end vehicles or just like larger vehicles, if something should happen to it, it's not going to be like $100 to fix it or something like that. It's going to be like a large amount of money anyways. So might as well get the most from Turo, which would be like the 90% plan, because sometimes when you look at it, you don't want to be renting cars and paying a bunch of insurance from Turo, or just paying for their insurance partnership plan, and then you're basically not really getting anything out of the situation. You're just operating, paying all these fees and not basically cash flowing. So you want to structure it so much that you can cash flow and the vehicle owner can cash flow, and both aren't losing a lot of money when it comes on to doing these rentals. The other thing that I want to talk about is the rental period, like what happens during trips and what happens outside of trips. So what happens outside of trips is the personal insurance is going to be the one that would be covering you, the manager, and whatever else employee the manager has that's basically managing the cars. And I don't think it's anything extra to add an authorized user for the vehicle, or just add a friend to use that says you occasionally use the vehicle sometimes, because you don't have to, you're not going to tell your insurance that like you're renting your car or doing something like that. Well, you can if you want, but like I don't advise it, and I'm not giving like advice here. Like you really could do whatever you want to do, but I personally wouldn't do it. So what I want to do is you want to basically have that to cover the outside trips, and then within trips, the Turo insurance is what would kick in, and then you'd be able to comfortably rent your vehicle knowing that it's covered under the Turo protection plan. Because once the renter is the person that's there, with Turo, they could either deny or accept the insurance, which means they would use Turo's insurance and it would cover all the damages and cover any collision or any accident that happens, or they could just use their own personal insurance and that would actually just cover everything else that would happen to them while on a trip. So that's a big deal that you would basically use there, and that's something that really came in handy, and that's something that came in effect as soon as I started scaling past 25 cars. I started really worrying about how insurance work and how all these other things work. So that's what I had to do first, to just make sure that it's just all covered, correct? So the real protection is not your main defense, right? The OPC agreements basically handles who pays the deductible, who handled the claim, and basically the responsibility during the downtime. If this is weak, then you will actually lose money. So you definitely want to structure that your agreement contract with the person who you're managing their cars for, or the person who's managing your car, right? You want to make sure that the agreement contract that you're having with these people is very structured, so that when the problems do arise, everybody is not just like guessing and wondering what we should do. You should be able to just go back to the agreement that you have and see who handles what. So in my agreement, what basically happens is we handle all the claims. We make sure that like if the car gets into an accident, we file a claim with Turo. We make sure everything goes through, and we just don't report it to that person's base insurance, right? We only use the Turo insurance, and that's when we're renting our vehicles on Turo. Yeah, we have some vehicles that are rent off platform, but the ones on platform is what I'm actually talking about here. So that's where you want to make sure everything is straightened out, because usually when things happen or things go wrong, that's the time when people start freaking out, especially if they're a person who they're not used to like car rentals, they're not used to their cars being rented and stuff like that. They literally would just freak out, not knowing what to do. And this is where you can become the authority. This is where you can become the person who understands it by using the information that you're getting from this video. So a lot of these things are very valuable stuff, and I wish I had this stuff whenever I just started, because I started with not many cars, and now we scaled up to about 60 plus cars. So that's why I'm telling you right now that we keep growing, because even yesterday I just onboarded somebody else. I onboarded like a Mini Cooper that I basically just got. That guy had his car, was just sitting in his driveway, and what happened was my realtor, like a person who they look for houses for me and stuff, they basically know this person, and their person is just, they know that person has a car just sitting in the driveway. She knows what I do, and what she did was she just recommended my services, and now I just onboarded this person free of cost. So now what's going to happen is that person is going to be making money, and I'm going to be making money, and we're both going to be doing this back and forth, right? So this is the power of when you have people working with you. This is the power of letting people know what you do. This is the power of basically just having referrals in your business and having people referring you because of the services that you're doing and the goodwill that you actually have with other people, right? So that's like a really strong thing that has really helped me. A lot of my vehicles right now, they came from just referrals. They came from people talking about what I've done for them. The other people's cars that I'm managing, they told their friends, and that's just how it became snowballing, and that's how it became like just a thing that a lot of people actively want to know. Like, how did you scale up to so many cars owned by other people? Because I genuinely believe like if you just focus on it and just actually try to make people money. Like, not even just you're in it to make money for yourself. Because the way how I started this is I was more interested in making other people money than making myself money. And I just made money like from just a derivative of what happens. Like, so the more I try to make other people money, me making money is just a byproduct from that. And that's literally just what's been happening. And that's exactly how I've been scaling the fleet. And that's exactly where we're at, over 60 plus cars. To be honest, I'm projecting to be over 80 cars by probably the end of this month, because I have a lot of new deals, I have a lot of new opportunities coming my way. So I genuinely believe that that's exactly what's going to happen. And it's going to become like more and more cars injected into the fleet, more and more people giving us cars, and more referrals happening all the time. That's basically what happened of how you want to structure your entire business. So the hidden risk in all these things: personal insurance may deny claims if you're misusing it. So if you're misusing it, then they will literally deny your claims. So the wrong Turo plan would cause like exposure towards all of this stuff, and basically the poor management agreement will basically let you eat a lot of losses when it comes on to you covering the insurance and what happens if the car gets into an accident or if the car suffers any damages and stuff like that. So this is why you basically have to input all these systems and make them repeatable, so that you're not just guessing when it comes on to doing all these things. What you're actually doing is you're creating like a repeatable structural system that you can copy and paste, and maybe one day just show somebody else, or you could just continuously use it as a method to grow your business, so your business could one day grow without you. So that's the craziest thing that I've seen so far. And the way how you have to think about it is, you're not building a traditional car rental business, you're building a risk managed system that happens to rent cars. And that's exactly how I see it right now. That's exactly how I've been doing it, and it's exactly how I've been making a lot of people money. Because to be honest right now, just besides from all this stuff, when people ask me what I do, I don't even say car rentals anymore. I literally just say asset management, because that's basically what I'm doing. I'm just managing assets for other people, and I'm basically just helping other people make money. And when it comes on to this insurance play and this insurance system, all you're actively doing is just managing the asset and managing the risk for these people, and structuring the risk and making sure that you're making people money and not losing them money. So if you like this video, just go ahead and subscribe, or just go ahead and send it to somebody that you genuinely think it might help, that they have their own rental business, or if you have your own rental business, just go ahead and drop me a like or a subscribe down the bottom here, and just let me know how much it actually helps you. And I want to know what happens in your fleet. Give me an idea of how you're getting cars right now. Tell me if you're still buying cars or if you're still financing cars. And what I can do, we could just hop on a one-on-one call, or we could just see how I could help you guys. I would love to hear from anybody out there that's actually watching these videos. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.